Today on CityCast Chicago, one thing's for certain, we love food in this city. But question, what is the most Chicago food? Your favorite, the best, the most iconic? It's Wednesday, March 26th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. All week long, we are celebrating 1,000 things we love about Chicago. And on our list, one thing was very clear. We love food in this city. It came up over and over again from some of the most expensive restaurants in the city, from snacks and sweet treats you can grab from corner stores. It was literally the largest category on the list. But we wanted to know which one was the most Chicago, the best in Chicago, our favorite. So, of course, we put together a classic CityCast Chicago bracket. Joining me to break it all down, executive producer Simone Alicea.
Hey, Jacoby.
And super producer Michelle Navarro.
Hey, Jacoby.
So our readers decided the winners of the first round. Here were some of those options. We're starting off hot out the gate with Paczki versus Old Fashioned Donuts, the legendary shop out in Roseland, and Paczki won with 55% of the vote, which is pretty close. I don't know if I agree with this just because I love the story of Old Fashioned Donuts, but I also have tasted the Paczki and that motherfucker, it's fire.
It's really good.
This was a close one. This was a close one.
The next one was we had the sweet steak versus the Jibarito, and Jibarito won with 70% of the votes. Low-key, I think this should have been way more competitive.
Yeah.
Because the sweet steak is really good. If it were me, I probably also would have voted Jibarito because it's got plantains, and I'm never going to say no to plantains, ever.
Yeah, this is another one where I'm like, I think I'm way more connected to the sweet steak. I have probably had 1,000 more sweet steaks than I have Jibaritos. But I venture to say the best version of a Jibarito probably is better than the best version of a sweet steak. But yeah, I thought it should have been way closer. 51-49, 52-48, but 70-30, I ain't feeling that one. I ain't feeling that.
So the next matchup was Italian Ice versus the Rainbow Cone. Italian Ice won with 50.4%. This is the closest call of the whole list. It was pretty even.
Well, Rainbow Cone was out ahead for several days. We ran this for about a week, and Rainbow Cone came out ahead at first, and then Italian Ice just climbed its way.
Those
back
mail-in
up.
ballots, G,
You know
they
what
matter.
I'm saying?
They matter.
If this was a real election, this would have triggered a recount. Like, this truly, it was so close.
I understand for people who really ride for the Rainbow Cone, I think it is very unique, but a classic Italian Ice, whether it's Mario's or honestly the lady at the candy, like the candy lady, it's always good. Now, this one was the most lopsided of all of the first round matchups. Again, I don't agree with how one-sided it was. I agree with the end, though. I do agree with the end. This was Uncle Remus versus Harold's. Now, we've done episodes on both of these talking about Harold's, founded on the South Side, expanded across the city. Shout out to Harold Pierce across the country. Uncle Remus founded out on the West Side. One of the crispiest, sauciest pieces of chicken you're going to find in this city. Harold's won with 92%. This just feels like cultural salience. It just feels like it's so well known. But I mean, if you go like blind taste tests with all of them, I don't think 92% of the people in that taste test are making that
I
decision.
totally agree.
Not.
I think it's like the Pepsi Coke challenge of its time. Like, I really do. But here we are. This is what the people said. The next matchup we had was the Pizza Puff versus, and we kind of grouped these together, Walking Taco, chips and cheese, and the Pizza Puff took the lead with 63% of the vote. Not that surprising, I think.
I do remember going to like a football game or a basketball game as a kid, like a high school or basketball or football game, or just I'm at the rec center and you getting Doritos, meat and cheese, jalapenos, going to the corner store and getting Flamin' Hots or Crunchy Curls with meat and cheese. And so I definitely feel like this is one I really could go either way, because I just had a Pizza Puff a couple weeks ago, and it feels like it's a much simpler like much simpler dish than not as many variations as you're gonna
Right,
get.
exactly,
And so
exactly.
So the next matchup was tavern style versus deep dish. Thin crust won 67%. I don't have to explain.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have to explain. Thin crust is better. So I agree completely. I don't have to say nothing about it.
It's basically pizza versus deep dish. And
Yeah.
you know, I love deep dish. I'm glad that 33% of the people rode for it.
Yeah.
But I actually thought this was going to be the most lopsided. The Chicago hot dog versus Italian beef. Honestly, you could throw both of these in like away from me. I don't really care about this.
Yeah,
matchup.
it's unfortunate you were the one to give us the results of this matchup, Jacoby, because I know neither is your favorite.
Again, I will eat a Chicago hot dog, a good Italian beef. I'll smack one, but the hot dog won 59%.
Michelle, you're our Italian beef resident lover here. I'm
Y'all
afraid.
don't know what you're saying. You guys
Italian beef girly.
Yeah, I'm an Italian beef girly through and through. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. Like, the Italian beef should wash the hot dog, but I understand people are very loyal to the hot dog, so I'll give them that.
The last matchup was we had a beverage, a drink. We had Malort versus Old Style. And Old Style came ahead with 59% of the vote. I am both
Good job,
surprised and
Thank
pleased.
God. Thank God.
None of us here are Malort lovers. I personally happen to know a lot of Malort lovers, a lot of transplants up here on the north side who just, they really...
I'm convinced y'all like fake it. Like y'all want to like it so bad and lie to yourselves because it tastes bad.
It is not good.
And again, I'm not convinced that Malort is a real Chicago thing. I feel like it's a thing we do now.
It is a Chicago. No, you got to understand.
No,
Malort,
I know the history of Jepson's and I know the history of Malort, but I'm saying like this idea that like, oh, you make your friend try it when they come. Like, I don't. That's not that. It's a thing people do now, but I feel like that's a marketing thing that's just been pushed.
It is
on
a marketing
us.
thing, but there's a lot of marketing things that were pushed on us in decades prior.
Big facts. Big
That
facts.
works.
It's all marketing.
You
It's
know?
all marketing.
I'm just representing for the transplants out here.
I respect it.
You know, like, hey, we're here too. And,
Y'all got some wild traditions, Brady.
it's-
Like, gee, what's y'all affinity to pain? What's up with that?
It's the pain that that we get when born and bred Chicagoans and they look at us and they're like, "You're not a real Chicagoan." That's why that's the pain that we feel. It's that the burn of Malort. You see, that's where it comes from.
No, it's the physical representation of
Yes.
the pain y'all feel from our eye rolls.
Yes.
What high school you go to? Actually, I went. Oh, okay, I got you.
Yes,
I
exactly,
understood.
exactly.
Well, after this, these first round matchups, again, shout out to all of the Hey Chicago readers, everybody who participated. We got our round two, which we are going to go through today. Me, Simone are going to kind of argue through them. Michelle going to be in here throwing her 2 cents. It's going to be the tie-breaking vote. But we're going to start with number one, the He-Burrito versus the Chicago hot dog. Simone, I'm going to let you make your argument first because I feel like before we hopped on, I was asking this question. Is it most? Is it best? Is it our favorite? And this really feels like like, how are you arguing this? Is it a most Chicago or a best? Because I feel like you get two different answers.
So I actually think on both counts, people might be shocked to hear this. I think the Chicago hot dog loses.
Oh, thank God.
but-
Thank you so. Why'd you say it like that, dog? You funny. He was like, on both counts, I think the Chicago hot dog. Look, you funny for that one.
I thought you were going to go for the hot dog for a second. Yeah,
you had me in the
to.
first half.
And I am of the three of us, I am the hot dog apologist here. And I love the story of the hot dog. Number one, I love the taste. I like the pickles. I like the sport peppers. I like the relish, the celery salt. I love the story of it, you know, coming out of the Depression and sort of how it was developed. And you have this meal that is portable and cheap that you can eat. However, the He-Burrito, I think, you know, bite for bite, superior. It just you can't compare
Exactly.
a great steak sandwich with a hot dog. They're just not the same. You can't do it. And then secondly, on sort of the Chicago-ness of it, the creation of it. Yes, the Chicago hot dog draws in many ways from Chicago's various immigrant communities, but I think the He-Burrito story is just so, number one, the fact that it's still kind of shrouded in mystery of like, to what degree was it invented in Chicago versus like, was it something that was being done in Puerto Rico by a specific restaurant in a specific place? And like, what, there's still a little like kind of, back and forth about it, but Chicago has really claimed it. I don't really know that you can find, I don't know where else you can find them, frankly.
You can't find them anywhere else.
And so that is the other thing. There's like an exclusivity to Chicago that I think makes it very Chicago-y. And it's so emblematic not only of the city and migration to the city, but also a specific neighborhood. And I love sort of that feeling of, being in Humboldt Park, Hermosa, even to some degree, Lincoln Park, where the Puerto Rican community, kind of first landed, right? Like there is just such a rich history and it's so interesting. And I love that this food can kind of represent that. So that's why for me, the jibarito takes it.
Bro, I love everything about that answer, start to finish. For people not familiar, jibarito has the smashed and fried plantains, has the thinly cut steak. You might get some iceberg lettuce, like some garlic mayo or some garlic aioli. Right, same difference.
They're the same.
I've seen some with cheese, some without cheese.
The classic goes with American cheese. That's what the Puerto Ricans taught me. Like American cheese on that joint, but you get any kind of cheese you want.
We went with the homie Pinky Ring to Humboldt Park. We were outside. You picked up like 4 or 5 sandwiches. And to this day, it's one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. Again, like you said, blow for blow. Even though I think if you put these two up, like picture for picture, more people would recognize the hot dog. I think once you learn, like once you do the knowledge, and you taste the jibarito, it's hard to go back. And so, yeah, I think this is a great win. You know me, I've always got a book or 2 or 3 I'm either reading or suggesting. And we will always pull for the local independent Chicago bookstores. But hey, I get it. With busy schedules, shopping online can be convenient. And with bookshop.org, you don't have to choose. Bookshop.org lets you choose an independent bookstore or an organization to order from, and your purchase directly supports them. I'm sitting right here looking at their map right now, and they got some of my favorite spots like Burst Into Books in Roseland, Bookies in Beverly, Pilsen Community Books, Women and Children First in Andersonville, and so many more. So whether you're looking for something to help you understand the world or you're just looking for a fun spring break read, bookshop.org can help you find the perfect book and support these community institutions at the same time. Plus, if you use code CityCast, you'll get 15% off your next order at bookshop.org. I'm about to use it right now.
All right, next matchup. Pizza Puff versus Harold's. Jacoby, I think you should start this one.
As much as I love a grab and go pizza puff, and in fact, every time I order Harold's and I get like 7 or 8 wings, I usually get a pizza puff on the side. But obviously, the story of Harold's, right? We are 75 years deep in this restaurant, which has expanded to dozens and dozens of locations across the city of Chicago. So many small business owners got their first business off the ground by owning and operating Harold's around the city. I know my mother's partner, Brian Brown, that was his story. Again, similar to what I said earlier, I don't know the Chicago experience without 8 wings, fry hard. When I lived on off 92nd and Ashland when I was a kid, there was a Harold's 2 blocks away. My grandmother has lived off of 90th and Stony Island my whole life. There's a Harold's 2 blocks away. Where I stay right now, there is a Harold's 4 blocks away. There's almost always been a Harold's within walking distance. And while there is some tension over which Harold's is the best, as it's expanded to other cities and food trucks, has the taste and quality remained? And we can, with scale, often comes these conversations. But I do think the story of this restaurant, the privilege of going to the ones off 87th Street, whether it was the one off Sangamon, which I loved, or the one right off the Dan Ryan, which most people love. Yeah, I think it's one of Chicago's most classic restaurants. I'm excited and happy that, you know, people from outside the city know about it when they come here, and it's one of those things people have to try. And you know, I'm always remember Derrick Rose getting that jug of mild sauce sent to him before he left. So I think Harold's beats Pizza Puff on this one.
I disagree. And I'm going to go with the Pizza Puff. And here's why. I think the Pizza Puff does not get the credit it deserves as a unique Chicago offering.
I feel that.
Number one, it also has a great sort of origin story. So the person who invented it, right? Neither Mexican nor Italian, Assyrian, Iranian, you know, had kind of come into ownership of this company that was creating like pushcart tamales, right? And then using, you know, this tortilla was like, what if we fill this tortilla with pizza stuff, deep fry it, and we create this perfect little snack. And so it is just the collaboration of cultures, and it becomes a thing that is ubiquitous in Chicago. You can find anywhere at any time. And it's just something we take for granted. We take for granted this melding of cultures, this innovation. That's the other thing about the Pizza Puff that I feel like is highly underrated, is like, because it holds together. It doesn't fall apart. It is a perfect, like, it is a perfect little pocket of goodness. And I just think it is sort of humble and underrated. And I think we should put the respect on it that it deserves. Michelle, come in here.
This is hard because I love the Pizza Puff origin. However, as someone, I grew up eating pizza puffs, and I've had my fair share of Harold's. And I just think that Harold's has to take it. I kind of agree with Jacoby on the whole idea of like, it definitely has been recognized in the city as this landmark almost, and there's a reason why it has spread out. It has taken over the south and west side, gone up north, and now you can find a Harold's Chicken where, like, whatever corner you are in the city, and that's for a reason, because we all widely agree that everyone should have access to mild sauce. I'm gonna have to side with Jacoby on this one and say Harold takes it.
My dog. Hey, and the one off of the Dan Ryan, my homegirl Antiquetta, we went to grade school from kindergarten to 8th grade. We're still friends to this day. Some of her cakes and desserts, so her cheesecake slices, her Oreo cake slices, are sold out of there. And you can't get those at any other location. And so that's just another reason to pull up, because they support local businesses. What's our next matchup? Ooh, Tavern Style versus Old Style. The best face off in terms of names. But Simone, I'm gonna let you start here, because why are we putting these two best friends against each other?
I was about to say.
In some ways, they are married to each other. Tavern Style and that cold Old Style. That's kind of where Tavern Style gets its name from.
Yeah, that should be the true Chicago handshake, right? Is the Tavern Style and Old Style. We can lose the Malort from that equation. Yeah, this is really, really tough. I think for me. And this is purely a taste thing. This is purely what I prefer to have, and that's Tavern Style pizza. That's kind of what it is.
I think that's the answer. I'm mad that these two got a squabble.
I totally respect the Old Style tradition. I certainly, when I see an Old Style sign on a bar, it makes me want to go in there. I respect sort of the identity it has created here in Chicago. And you know, the fact that it is part of, you know, sort of a classic bar experience.
And Simone, you're the one that taught me that Old Style actually comes from La Crosse, Wisconsin, but it did move to Chicago and was primarily in Illinois, like up until 2016.
Yeah,
so
for decades and decades. Yeah.
So they've been here since 1935 until they left in 2016.
The Shield, classic,
the sign,
definitely
Chicago bar sign.
I just think Tavern Style pizza, if you ask me, what do you want to eat? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be like, some pizza, cut in squares, please. The toppings are perfect, and it's not too heavy, and I can eat 8 pieces, and it's just such a pleasant experience, Tavern Style pizza. I think that's the thing that Tavern Style pizza people don't talk enough about, is like the experience of sharing some square cut pizza with your friends, family, your group, whatever, is so much more casual, fun, easy, less heavy than even like a New York style, thin crust pizza, right? It is
100%.
such a superior experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember how many birthday parties we like ran at the rink that we had at the rink. It definitely was into the few thousands, but something about cutting that pizza into squares and serving it just organizes people. Everybody sit down, everybody ready. And whether it's Home Run Inn, whether it's Italian Fiesta, whether it's Vito and Nick's, I went to Pizza Miche for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I had to go on a work day, like right after we got off, because getting a reservation is tough. But what I learned is they keep half of the restaurant open for walk-ins. And so you still may be able to get in there. But the cracker crust on that thing, the way it just made it so easy to pick up a slice, it didn't move at all. And I'm not even gonna lie, I was popping them boys like roasted peanuts.
Oh, yeah, this is easy. Thin crust wins. Ding, 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 ding.
Now we are to our sweet treat. The sweetest of treats. And we actually did 2 episodes on we actually did episodes on both. Actually, let me go back through this. The only thing we haven't done an episode on is Old Style. But Pączki versus Italian Ice, these are both episodes we've done in the last couple of years. Pączki is the Polish pastry that is served around Mardi Gras, aka Pączki Day, and Italian Ice, shaved ice, some syrup or some, I don't know how, if Mario's makes theirs. Is it with syrup? Is it just like the pump?
Well, the trick, no, because that's not how Italian Ice is made. It's with real fruit. It's kind of the whole point, and it's like mixed in the freezing. I think it's like in the freezing process, and like that's what makes it different from like a snow cone. It's not just like syrup on ice.
But in terms of sweet treat, this for me might be the toughest of the matchups, because while my first thought is Italian Ice, because seasonal, it almost feels like it's so special because some of the places that sell it only open up during like late spring and the summer. Pączki, like the window for it is so much smaller, even though there are places that sell it year round. But I had it for the first time, and them mugs
they're really good.
Ooh, they were so good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was.
That was my thing because I tried them the first time you did when we first tasted them last year. And I just sort of assumed it would just kind of taste like a jelly donut, right? Like
exactly.
It's it's a fried dough filled with jam or custard or any other fillings.
And I've had my fair share of donuts, both classic and fancy / artisanal from around the city. And so, yeah, I went in it very much like, okay, we finna eat 3-4 donuts.
But they were superior. It was so good. It was so rich. I think this is what it comes down to for me. I think the Pączki in many ways is the superior dessert. I think the Italian Ice has to take it for me because it is the thing that if I see a stand or I see that someone has it and it's warm outside and I'm like, yeah, I want one of those.
Even if I don't want it, I want it.
Yeah. And if I see someone with it, I'm going to be like, hey, can I get some of that? Like there's something about it that just pulls me in every time. The trick is neither of these are only specific to Chicago. Both Italian and Polish communities in different parts of the country, where there are strong Italian and Polish communities, you can find these things. However, both communities happen to be very strong in Chicago.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you here. Shout out to Benison's, Laramie Polish Pączki Cafe. But yeah, I remember at the start of the good weather summer last year, the three of us and with Cindy Madden, we all sat down, and I remember saying, I think this is going to be the only Italian Ice I have this summer because I like a good snow cone. I like a good slushy.
You were over it.
I'm going to pull up on Baba's. Y'all, I went back to Mario's about 3-4 times last summer. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. I'm cool with Italian Ice taking the cake on old Pączki here.
Okay, round 3. So now this is our 2 matchups. We have Jibarito versus Harold's. This is tough.
All right. Go ahead.
I think I'm going to stick with the Jibarito.
I actually think I am as well. Again, I think
Really?
you know me. I'm a sucker for nostalgia. I'm a sucker for Harold's. I love how accessible it is. I love how popular it is around the city. You know, most places around the city, you're not too far from a Harold's. But I think your earlier argument of like putting a steak sandwich up against, even if it's just a pizza puff or if it's six wings, that a steak sandwich gonna almost always win for me. For me, again, I think Harold's might be the most recognizable and probably my favorite. But if I'm just arguing off the thing that tastes the best, I got to go with the He-Burrito on this one.
Yeah, I mean, wow, I'm really shocked that we're agreed here.
If I had to make this argument 5 times, I might go with Harold's 2 or 3 times. It's for me, it's definitely the one that most represents Chicago. Like for me, most represents like black owned businesses on the south side of Chicago, the history of like resilience and growth in spite of, but I do think, again, the best 6 pieces of chicken is probably not going to be better than the best smashed plantains with perfectly seasoned and cooked steak with some veggies and some cheese and some garlic spread. That's gonna be tough. I understand though people listening to this who are equally shocked and it's just like, I can't believe he didn't go for Harold's. It's the classic. It's the OG. I feel you. And again, you catch me on a different day, I might have felt differently. But like right now, if you ask me what I want to eat, I really wish somebody would drop me off a steak sandwich. Sweet treat versus cheesy delight. Italian ice versus tavern style. Simone, make your case.
I gotta go tavern style. I really do. And it's goes to the thing I spoke about earlier about that experience of sharing some square cut pizza with whoever you're sharing it with. It is so quintessential. It doesn't matter if you're in your apartment, in someone's house, if you are in a library rec room, if you are in a
number
gym,
of books I read for some square cut pizza.
You know what I'm saying? Like it is just so integral to the social fabric of Chicago in so many ways. And I love, I made the case for Italian Ice earlier, and Italian Ice has beat some icons. I don't think it can beat this one.
I don't think it can beat this one. I do think there isn't a bad day for pizza. There just isn't a bad day for pizza. It makes so many things better. And while I love Italian Ice, you can't get it year round. I'm down for people who eat frozen treats in the winter. The truth is, I don't really go out for Italian Ice until the sun is back and kicking. I'm gonna have thin crust pizza all year round, and sprinkle in some deep dish in there. Sprinkle in some deep dish.
All right, so thin crust versus Jibarito, final round. This is hard. Who wants to start?
All right, so I'm gonna start, and my answer is gonna sound wild. I'm going to go with thin crust because here I think I've made a bunch of different arguments. I think this is where variation helps the tavern style pizza. The fact that you can put a He-Burrito on a pizza means that the pizza is sort of the universal plate. It's there for what you want or what you need. Do you want your pepperoni? Do you want sausage? Do you want to go full veggie? Do you want just cheese? The fact that you can eat more tavern style pizza than you can the He-Burrito. And then if we've been arguing the He-Burrito has won a lot off of like taste for taste. I can't 100% say the best He-Burrito is better than the best thin crust pizza. I can't say that. The thin crust pizza wins out over the He-Burrito, but I think it is closer to that 50.4%, maybe a 52% vote for me. But yeah, I think I could I'd ask for a He-Burrito flavored pizza.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like, I get some steak and plantain on a pizza. I could probably get behind that.
I could roll with that.
I could rock with that. Yeah, I think actually I'm going to agree with you, Jacoby. And the Jibarito has the better story in many ways. I think the tavern style pizza, it has sort of the same story as pizza anywhere in the US. Obviously, we in Chicago claim specifically this sort of cracker crust, this crispy crust, square cut. That is the thing that makes a Chicago tavern style pizza unique to other thin crust pizzas that you can find. And you know what? I also think in a way, tavern style wouldn't be as iconic if it didn't have deep dish to compare to.
I do think that's one of the reasons like people have really grabbed hold of tavern style, because again, coming up, I never heard that phrase. It was just, do you want deep dish or thin crust? But I think because deep dish like is so visual and people, what is that? What does that look like? And then people, of course, oh, that's pizza soup and yada yada yada. I do think the name has emerged as people can say, no, we have our own style pizza that we identify that isn't deep dish. And so yeah, I do think the battle and the story of the two have definitely lifted both ships.
I think the fact that it has that, at least in the national eye, it lives in the shadow of the cheesier, heavier cousin of deep dish.
But it secretly runs the whole show.
And it speaks to how Chicago is in real life. Chicago, I think Chicagoans feel that tension very deeply of sort of feeling overlooked, of feeling like no one really knows just how cool and amazing and instrumental this city is to everywhere else, but secretly running everything. Like there is a mirroring in the story of tavern style that I think mirrors the story of Chicago writ large, which is why it kind of takes it for me.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic argument. We agree on this one. Tavern style over the Jibarito.
If you disagree with how we voted, you can cast your own votes. We have the second round of these matchups posted on our website, and we'll be continuing until we crown a winner. And so it's very possible that you, dear listener, dear reader, may crown a winner that is different from the winner that we have crowned. And if you do, we'll talk about it on the show. And I'm excited to see how the rest of the matchups show up. I don't know if people are going to vote the way we voted, Jacoby, but you can find it at chicago.citycast.fm.
I want to give a huge thank you to our guest today, executive producer Simone Alicea.
Hey, thanks, Jacoby.
And producer Michelle Navarro.
Thanks, Jacoby.
Before we get out of here, some good news. This Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m., Recycle Modern in Hyde Park is partnering with Hey Rach for their Cafe Modern. Stop by for drinks to see some of the cool items that they sell in their store, including some original artwork from local Chicago artists, and they're going to have so much more. I will drop a link in our show notes. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. I ask of you just one thing. Be here. Please. 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 Pretty please. Please. I just want you to come back.
And that was Jacoby's audition for Chicago Med, or Chicago PD, or the Bear,
or the Fire, Chicago Fire,
or Chicago Fire. Please reach out to his manager, Michelle Navarro, for more inquiries.